plastic brain. What's inside this box that I see is the new brain. So, is this a Funko Pop?
Everyone, I'm back. So basically I am done with high school now and I have like 3 months to do whatever I want, and I can finally get back into vlogging and YouTube and that kind of stuff, which I'm really excited for, and I hope it will last. As you saw in the clip this morning, I have been reading Brave New World, and you know, I'm on page 75 and it's like a 230 page book. So it's quite slow. Well, me reading it is quite slow because it's taken a while for me to get used to the style of writing in here. Whilst it's not a style that's really classic, like, you know, some classics are really difficult to get into, it's a style that I'm not really used to because it takes a lot of clauses and puts them into one sentence, and Huxley has used this kind of snapshot or like alternating scene kind of approach, especially I think it was chapter 2 or something. It was like a sentence for each scene and it went back and forth, and it was just really confusing sometimes to know which character was talking when. And add that onto the fact that this is a dystopian novel, so it takes time to get used to the new world and the new like system and government and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just taken me a little while, and I find myself reading the page and then I'll like be 2 pages along and I realize that I'm literally not reading a single word. Like, I'm reading the words but I'm not understanding anything because my mind's gone off somewhere else. So yeah, other than that, I am really liking it. Like, for a dystopia, like for a classic dystopia, it's quite good. Brave New World, I know, like, obviously it's a classic, so everyone's like, oh, this is amazing, like this is really good, but I don't know, I actually have no idea what it's about. Like, going in, I had no idea. I didn't even read the blurb. From the first 75 pages, for those of you who don't know what it's about, like me when I first went into it, it's basically, as I said before, a dystopia. So it's a futuristic world where there's a new system, a new government. Basically, the citizens of the society are pretty much brainwashed when they're really, like, when they're children, like basically from the moment that they're born, to reject certain things. Like, there's a scene, do I say scene when it's in the book? Well, anyways, there's this part where like babies are electrocuted when they're happy with like flowers and like colorful pictures. It's basically like making them into the perfect workers. And from what I can gather, this society is mainly about consumption and like consumerism, and they want people to consume more and more. Like, they're not really, you know, obviously in today's world, like, we're a lot about thrift shopping and reusing and recycling and making sure that we're like being sustainable in our consumerism. Does that make sense? In this world, they're pretty much like, oh, we need to consume as much as we can. Don't be bothered about mending things. If something's broken, just buy a new one. Another thing is they have this motto saying where it's like everyone belongs to everyone, something like that. There's no monogamy in this, or at least ideally, according to like the government, there should be no monogamy and everyone belongs to everyone in that sense. It's been interesting to read. There's a lot of new words. There's also a very rigid caste system that the citizens are placed into, and once again, they're brainwashed from when they're a baby, like, I'm in this particular class. In terms of classics, I think I prefer reading them whilst annotating in the way that I'm used to at school, like looking into like possible symbolisms, definitions, themes, motifs, that kind of stuff. So I don't really do that for like contemporary pieces. For this kind of classic, I've been taking it pretty slow and just trying to make sure I understand the world, and I think that's been working really well. So yeah, that is my reading update for now. And I am really liking it, although normally 230 pages would take me about like 2.5 hours, I want to say. But I think this might end up taking me a bit longer because I keep on having to reread passages just to make sure that I understand what's going on. But yeah, I quite like this book. Okay, so I just watched Taylor Swift's short film, All Too Well. Oh my god. It's so good. Taylor Swift literally makes me feel so bad because, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, literally, she puts out so many songs and does a short film, and what have I done? I have binge-watched a whole show and read a few books. Yeah, I'm really accomplished in comparison. But wow, literally her short film, that was amazing. It was so good. Like Sadie Sink, Dylan O'Brien, yes, like amazing. That's all I can say. But anyways, it is now 2:21 p.m. and I have really achieved nothing today. I read like 20 more pages of Brave New World. Still loving it. Love might be a strong word. Still liking it. Interesting, but it's got that kind of classics vibe where, you know, it's not really interesting until you get to... By the way, if the background's messy, please ignore that. Whatever. It's got that kind of classics vibe where the first little bit is just really not that interesting, and I think it's about to get interesting because Bernard, one of the protagonists, he's gone to the savage reservations, which is where he's meant to get his whole like awakening, I think, to like, oh, maybe this dystopia isn't great. But yeah, that is where I am right now. I have also watched a bit of You, like the show. Not You, I'm not. Anyways, the show, You. I'm on season 2, episode 4 or 5, I think. It's interesting because you would think that Joe as a character... Oh my god, my arm is literally shaking. You would think that Joe as a character is like really dislikable because he's just a stalker, which, like, yeah, he is, and he's a killer. But sometimes when you listen to him and when you see the way that he acts with like the love interest, sometimes you're just kind of like, oh, that's really cute, and I kind of want that, you know? Anyways, that's where I'm at now, and I'm feeling a bit tired, so I might take a nap, even though like I've done nothing today. But yeah, I might take a nap or watch more YouTube. And yeah, because I'm on holiday and I can do anything, literally, whatever I want. Like, I have no responsibilities right now, which is really bad. I need to find a project or something to like entertain myself. Anyways, yeah, that's the update. Hi guys. So it is now many hours later. It is like 11:40 p.m. and I ended up watching more YouTube, taking a nap, and watching Netflix. And I also had dinner. But that has been my night. I did read a little bit more of my bookmark just fell out. Give me a moment. Yep. Okay. So I read a little bit more of Brave New World, and right now I'm on page 137, and I am liking it. But you know, it's very much a classic vibe where the story is interesting and everything's like you enjoy reading it, but I don't know, I'm just not fully into it, if you know what I mean. Nothing much has happened, I'm going to be honest. It's a very descriptive style of writing, and I'm the type of reader who, like, I read quite quickly, mainly because I've conditioned myself in a way to like skip over long passages of description, whereas this is very descriptive. So I often find myself rereading pages and stuff like that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it so far. I think I can finish it tomorrow, especially since I'm at home all day and I've got nothing to do. And then what I have here is something that I really want to show you guys. So this is I don't know, a book that I have had for like so many years, and it's got like all of these stories in it, and I don't know, like I just never read all of them. Like I've read Little Women because I have a different version. I have a vintage classics version of that. So I have read Little Women, and I got like a few chapters into Black Beauty, but other than that, I haven't read it. And it's so beautiful. Like, I opened up the first page and look, like there are illustrations for the Little Prince. And actually, I don't know if that's part of the normal book. That might be part of like the normal book, because none of these other pages really have illustrations. Oh no, I think this is Alice in Wonderland. Some of them have illustrations, and it's just really pretty. I really like it, and I'm definitely gonna use it to read The Little Prince because I've been meaning to read that for a long time, and I'm just really excited. But this cover is just, it's so amazing. I love it so much. But yeah, that is my update for tonight, and I'll check in the morning. Okay, so update time. It's like almost 3:30 p.m. the next day, Tuesday, and I have done pretty much nothing today. I watched like 3 episodes of You, played a little bit of Genshin. Like I downloaded it today and started playing Genshin, as you saw, Genshin Impact, because my friend has been pretty much like pestering me to play it for like the past few months. I have read a little bit more of Brave New World, although I don't know where the book is. I've read a little bit more. It's making me lose interest because it feels like the storyline isn't really progressing that much. The author takes on a really clinical way of describing things, and there's a lot of repetition and a lot of jargon specific to that society, and it's just a little bit difficult for me to get into. So I don't know if I'm enjoying this a lot. It's sitting at like a 3-star right now, which is not a bad read, but it's like not something that I want to read very much. Like when I'm reading, I'm interested, but it definitely has the vibe of like, oh, assigned reading, we have to read this for school. Like it feels like that. Also, if the camera is shaking, it's because I have no arm strength, and I am working on that. So that's my update for now. I have a girl coming over that I am going to tutor in maths for an hour, and then after that I'm not sure. I'll probably read a little bit more or like play more Genshin, which is more likely. But yeah. Okay, so reading update. I am not holding the camera because I have weak arms and whatever. I can't hold it for very long and I think I'm going to talk for a while. So here we are. Hopefully this is in focus, not a weird angle. I've got you on a stack of books. Anyways, so last night finished reading Brave New World. You know, honestly, it's meh. So I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a good book. I feel like I didn't really understand how it relates to our world. Like I know it does on some level, but I don't think I really got into the deeper level, which is why I said earlier that I think this reads more like assigned reading. Like when I was reading it, I was constantly like looking for connections, looking for how it relates to our real world, how it, I don't know. But yeah, I think that took away from my enjoyment of reading it, because sometimes I do like reading books like that, but I think because I've just finished exams, my brain's tired, I've been in kind of a reading slump this whole month. Yeah, this was 3.5 stars. I mean, it's good. The style of writing just wasn't really for me. Also, towards the end, there's a lot of Shakespeare in it, which I don't know what that's meant to convey, like, but yeah. A lot of the writing is clinical and descriptive, which is, I assume, meant to convey how, like, emotionless pretty much the world is, like the new dystopia. Yeah, and that was hard to read. There were lots of long paragraphs. Towards the end, there was a lot of dialogue, and in the dialogue, it was a lot of monologue almost. Like there's this one character, I don't really remember what he was talking about, but it's just like pages and pages of just his own monologue, and it's one paragraph. Like it's not split up, so it's just really overwhelming when you're reading, and I found myself not really being thoroughly engaged. It was more of a, oh yeah, this is interesting, so I can keep reading, but I would rather watch something else, or I would rather read something else, you know, like you. You know what, that show name is really difficult, because what if you're just talking to someone, you're like, oh yeah, I started watching you. Like you. Like, it sounds creepy, right? I guess that's the point, because it's about stalker. I also started watching, sorry, this is going off track, but I also started watching a new K-drama last night called Record of Youth. I think it came out like either earlier this year or sometime last year. So I watched the first episode and it's okay so far. Like I'm not really into it, but yeah. Anyways, reading update. Finished this, and today I want to start this Jade Fire Gold. And this is a new release. I think it was, I'm not sure when it came out, sometime this year. I think it was last month, October. I pre-ordered this because I thought it sounded really interesting. And also, I mean, come on, look at this cover, if it's focused. But like, it's beautiful. Like, what else do you want? Also, it's like, the author is Asian, so love that. So, I think this book is dual perspective. One perspective is from a girl's perspective, and she has no idea where she came from, and she was found as a child with some mysterious power. It's set in an empire. I think it's called the Shi Empire. What it says in the blurb is this girl, her name's An, and she has this power that no one knows what it is, even she doesn't know what it is, and she has no idea where it came from. And add on to that, she can't remember where she came from. Like, she doesn't remember her history. Her power means that she would get imprisoned, but when it's exposed, she gets sent to the Imperial Palace to await her fate. So the other perspective is from this boy named Alton, and he is basically on a revenge quest. So Alton is a fake name, and basically his whole family got murdered, and now he's seeking revenge, which we love. We love a anti-hero, is that what it's called? Like morally grey character, we love that. Although probably justified, considering this is based off of an empire, and we all know that a lot of murder goes on in empires. Not naming any names. Just kidding. God. So he's on a revenge quest because his whole family got murdered, which is... So the other perspective is this boy named Atlan, and no, that's not his name. The other perspective is this boy named Alton, and that is not his real name because he is on a revenge quest. So from what I can gather from the blurb, he used to be really well known throughout the empire that this is set in, and his family got murdered, so now he's seeking vengeance and revenge. So we love that storyline. It's probably justified, not gonna lie, but yeah, I'm excited to get into this. What happens, as expected, boy and girl meet, and I'm guessing there's some romance, not really sure, but yeah, they meet, things go crazy, I guess. I am going to start reading this today. I'm hoping it's going to be a fast read. It's like 450 pages, but the words are pretty big. I'm hoping it's relatively fast paced because I have really been in a reading slump. Yeah, I haven't really read much. I've read Brave New World this month and Conversations with Friends, which is 2 books, and we're halfway through the month now. And I don't want to put any pressure on myself to read, but I do want to get out of this like reading slump that I'm in, because right now reading feels like I'm forcing myself to do it instead of like, oh, I actually want to read. That is my update for now. I'll update you when I read more of this, or start reading this. And yeah. Okay, sorry. I just finished episode 2 of Record of Youth, and oh my god, I can't. I really can't. It's good, okay? I wasn't sure about it when I watched episode 1, but it's really good. I really like it. I haven't watched a K-drama in so long, and this just reminds me like, oh, I love it so much. Anyways, that is what I wanted to update. I have not started reading, but I will, like, now. And I'll update you when I read some of Jade Fire Gold. Before I start reading, I realized that I forgot to update you on what I read last night, which was I read like 6 chapters of The Little Prince, and they're really short chapters, so this was about like 20-30 pages, and it's so cute. It's just good vibes, you know, like it's the whole like childhood, like keeping your childhood curiosity and imagination and all of that. I don't know, I think it's a good thing to read right before going to bed, because it's quite chill, if you know what I mean. Like, it's good vibes. And I really don't know the story of The Little Prince, like I should. It's like quite a classic book, but I don't really know the story. So yeah, that's my update for that. I'm probably gonna read that before I go to bed each night. Okay, back to reading. Update on the book. I'm about 100 pages in and I'm enjoying it so far. It's definitely very fast paced. Like the action pretty much starts from chapter 2, chapter 3. It's giving me slightly insta-love vibes. Like it's the two main characters bump into each other and it's like already sparks, which I don't know if I'm really buying. I don't know if I'm a fan of that, but yeah. I'm not hating it because right now they met once and then they parted ways and now they're like on separate missions or whatever, something like that. It's definitely got the vibe of a Chinese martial arts kind of show. Like it's definitely that kind of vibe. There's a lot of like hierarchy. There's a lot of backstory to the world. Like the world building is pretty good. Like it's the type of world building where stuff is revealed little by little and vocabulary is like introduced bit by bit and you understand what everything means. I mean, I'm liking it so far. It's a quick read. I don't really see it getting like 5 stars or maybe even 4 stars. It's just, yeah, it's a fun read for now. Like maybe it will become like really amazing. But yeah, it's a fun read for now and I'm excited to keep going. That's my update. So I'm back from my day in the city and you know, it was a little impromptu. My friend messaged me last night being like, hey, do you want to go into the city to buy some dresses? And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. So yes, I will. And you know, it became a full day of a lot of walking. Like I think my steps are at like about 1,500 all in all. Admittedly, probably a few thousand of that is from me just walking around a bookstore. On the bright side, I do have a small book haul from my trip into Kinokuniya in the city. So, I'll show you the books that I got. I actually walked into Kinokuniya being like, you know what, I'm not gonna buy any books. Like, I don't need any more books. I literally have a full shelf of books that I haven't read. But, of course, I saw some and I was like, oh, you know what, I can cheat on this book buying ban, which I've been very good at, by the way. I think I've lasted a month without buying new books. I want to say a month. It's probably been less, but we'll say a month. Just give me that, you know. But yeah, I went in and I saw some books and I was like, okay, I can't not get this, you know. So I did. Like I was like, I can't walk into a Kinokuniya and not get a book. So I got 3. The first book is this poetry collection called Flowers on the Moon by Billy Chapada. And on the back it says, I'm not for everyone and that is my magic. You cannot take that from me. So I actually spent a long time in the poetry section being like, oh, I want a collection of poetry. And then originally I wanted to buy this collection called Queer Poets of Color, but I think they sold out or something because it wasn't there. And instead I found this and I was like, you know what? The cover is beautiful and I don't know, the vibes, like the inside just gives me good vibes. I don't know, something about this style is just very nice. And the very simple quote on the back, or like message on the back, I was like, yes, I'm going to try this out. And yeah, moving on to the next book, which is one that I've never heard of before. It's called Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. I think that's how you say it. It's a Spanish author. And when I picked this up, I actually didn't realize, but this is originally a Spanish book that got translated into English. So it's translated by Megan McDowell. So from what I can gather, this book is about stuffed animals with cameras in their eyes. I read like a few sentences on the first page and it's like these stuffed animals, they've got cameras in their eyes, and I think it's about the internet and like, I don't know. I think it's very topical right now. It won, well, it says here, the Guardian and Times Best Novel of 2020. I think it discusses like the implications of the internet and like constant surveillance, that kind of thing. I'm excited to read it. It's been a while since I've picked up a book that I've never heard of before, and like, you know what? Obviously, it's well known to be a good book, but I've personally never heard of it. And you know what? I saw a panda, so obviously I had to get it. And I got the cute cover. There was another cover, like you saw earlier in the vlog. There was another cover, and that one was a bit scary. And personally, I like the cute fluffy vibe, even if their cameras and creepy. And then the final book that I got was Convenience Store Woman. I have wanted this for a really long time, and I'm gonna be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't expect it to be so short. Like, I thought it was a slightly longer book, but you know what? We love short books. They get us past reading slumps, especially something about the Japanese style of writing. Admittedly, I haven't experienced it that much. I've read some Murakami, and also Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I can't remember the author of that. Oh, and I've also read The Traveling Cat Chronicles, something like that. Like, I have not a lot of experience with Japanese literature, but from what I've experienced of it, I really like this style. It's very much like, it's not focused on narrative as much, it's more like about the characters, about the feelings. It's very much like following someone's life and not trying to make a whole like, you know, story out of it. Anyways, I really like it. And I've heard lots of good things about this. And if you haven't heard of it, it's basically about this woman who works at a convenience store. And that's kind of it. Like, everybody wants her to be something more, or like, they're like, oh, why are you spending your time at this convenience store? You could be doing so much more. But she's happy there. At least that's what I think it's about. Anyways. Also, the author is Sayaka Murata. I don't know if I actually said that. So yeah, that is my little book haul. Now, reading update. I'm now on page 294 of Jade Fire Gold. And you know what? I am enjoying it so far. It has gotten significantly better from the first like 50, 100 pages that I read. The story's really picked up its pace. I'm more invested in like the whole magic and I don't know, just like the political landscape in this. It is a bit difficult to get used to, but I feel like that's all fantasy books. Like you go into a fantasy and it's like all of these new names and new language and a new magic system that you have to get used to. But yeah, the magic system in this one is not that hard to get used to. It's more like the names, and because like I'm used to reading like Western based books, the introduction of Chinese folklore and Chinese culture is something that I'm not particularly used to. But you know what? I really like it. I like getting to know like my own culture, but through literature instead of like a textbook or like something non-fiction. Another thing to watch out for in this book, however, is it does use a few like Chinese proverbs or like common Chinese sayings that I had to look up in order to understand properly. Like, obviously that's the same with like, all books. There's always gonna be proverbs or idioms or sayings that are used that are more well known to one particular culture. So that's just one thing to look out for in this book, I think. I mean, if you're open to learning about more, I think it's a great book to pick up. It's pretty fast-paced, but I like it. The one thing I would say, and I don't know, this mini spoiler, I guess, although you can kind of tell from the blurb, like, there is a little bit of insta-love, like, which I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of. But you know what? I can look past it. So right now, this book is on a trajectory towards a 4-star. Like, right now it's sitting pretty solidly at a 3.5 because I am enjoying it and it's easy to read. But let's see if the ending, I wonder if there'll be a twist or something. I'm hoping there'll be a twist. And maybe that will get it to 4 stars. But yeah, that is my update for tonight. I am exhausted. I am very tired from walking around the city all day. So I'm going to go to bed. And I'll update you guys in the morning. Or when I read a bit more. Okay, so I just finished Jade Fire Gold. And wow, I mean, this was good. So originally when I first started this, like the first 50, 100 pages, I wasn't that into it. I was thinking like, you know what, it's a fun read, but I'm not really connecting with any of the characters and I don't really follow the story very well. But after reading the whole thing, now I'm thinking like, it's pretty good. Like, especially since it's the author's debut. So the author is June CL Tan and it's her debut book. It's really good. The one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is how she's written the characters. And especially the relationship between characters, I feel like could be fleshed out a little more. This is definitely a more action-based book. Like, a lot of it is talking about the politics and the schemes that are going on, political schemes, which, you know what, I love, but I am definitely more of a character person. Like, if a book has a character that I can really relate to, then I'm set. Like, the story doesn't even have to have anything extremely action-packed. It doesn't need to be intense or anything. If there's a character that I can relate to or a character that I really like, then I'm set. I love the book. But with this, I just thought it was a bit lacking in character development and relationship development. It felt a lot like a Chinese drama, which is, she did say she was inspired by Chinese martial arts dramas, which, you know what, I do love them. I've watched a couple and I do like them, but I think something that runs in Chinese dramas as well, in some of them that I don't like, is the insta-love feeling and like the lack of development of relationships, and you just kind of, you gotta accept that there's a relationship at points. So yeah, the plotline, I'm here for it. I want to see where it goes, and the epilogue really sets it up for a second book, perhaps with a different main character or a different perspective. And you know what, if she decides to write a second one, I'll definitely be picking it up because I really like this. It was so great to read about Chinese cultural elements in this book because I've never really experienced that before. I haven't really picked up a book that leaned heavily in to Chinese folklore and Chinese culture, that kind of stuff. But this really did it. Reading this, I could imagine a lot of the scenes in my mind because it just really replicated that kind of Chinese martial arts drama style, like the action scenes. I loved it. Like, yeah. So I would recommend this. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars because whilst I did really enjoy it, obviously there's that element of character development that's really important to me in enjoying a book. You know what? It did get me out of my reading slump, I think, because now I'm excited to read another book. But yeah, 3.5 stars. Enjoyed it. I recommend people read this because it's good. So I'm gonna end the vlog here because I think I have plenty of footage from the past 4 days. So this is how I spent the week after my exams. Read 2 books, Jade Fire Gold and Brave New World. Very different genres, but you know what? Each have their own merits. Hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. If you did, please leave a like down below and click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!